simple copper wire type fuses that we use in our homes, there is an allowable overload of around 25% or maybe 20%. So a current of around 7 to 8 ampere will cause this fuse to melt. Is that clear? So I don't have to look at the physical characteristics. Basically, I want to look at the melting time characteristics of a fuse. This is fusing time on the y-axis, and on the x-axis you can look at the current. Okay. So look at the characteristic. Up to this current, maybe this is 5 or 6 amperes. He has written rated current, but that's not exactly the case. It is maybe 1.1 times rated current, something like that. Okay. Up to this current, the fuse will not melt because see, for any of, for example, at a current value exactly equal to this point, what is the time of melting? It is infinitely high. In other words, the fuse can be connected in your system indefinitely without melting. The moment you try to increase the current beyond this point, say at this point, you can look at the time of melting that is needed. It's a couple of seconds or something. It basically depends on the um, on the on the base that is used on the y-axis. But look at the characteristic. As one increases the value of current, the time required for melting decreases. Okay. So by the time you reach this point, the melting time is very small. Okay. So basically the takeaway from this discussion is that for small values of fault current, the time required by a fuse to melt is quite large. For large values of fault current, obviously the time required for melting is small. I mean, the physical explanation is very simple. You can, the simplest way by which we can understand is this is by looking at a fuse which is modeled as a resistance, and there is a current I flowing through it. Okay? In a interval of time t, the energy that is produced is given by power into time. Okay? Which in turn is equal to I square R T. Okay? This is energy, or this is the heat produced. Is that clear? So in order to melt any element, you have to basically give some calories of heat to it. Okay? So if you want to boil water, for example, there is a concept known as latent heat, is I think the word for it. That is the energy intake in calories, because typically heat is measured in calories. You can always convert back it into joules. There is some minimum amount of energy that is required for fusion, that is required for melting. Now let's take it, let's assume that that minimum energy requirement is, say, H min. uh, from this equation we can write that this is I square R T. And what is T? This is time of melting, so let's call it Tm. Okay. R is a constant. H min is obviously a characteristic. Actually, it depends on a variety of factors. It depends upon the material that is used. It depends on the ambient temperature. It also depends on the current level to some extent. But let's take a very simplified analysis and assume that ambient temperature is 25 degrees Celsius and so on and so forth. So this is a constant. This is a constant. From this we can write I square into Tm. This is the constant. Okay, I'm going for a very simplified analysis. In practice, obviously things are somewhat more complicated, but this analysis captures the gist of the argument. So from this, this is the current level squared, and this is the time that is required for melting. It's a constant. The constant is independent of either the current level or of the time of melting, because as we can see, this constant is basically the heat required for melting divided by resistance. So from this equation, as current level increases, the time required for melting decreases. Is that clear? Okay. So this is the behavior which is captured by this curve as well. Obviously, actual behavior is quite somewhat more different from this, because remember, the moment this device starts to melt, the temperature will not remain constant. The temperature will rise. And therefore, this simplified analysis is not exactly correct, but at least qualitative behavior is captured by this equation. So as the current level increases, the time required for melting decreases. Is that clear? Okay, this is the typical characteristic of fuse. For small currents, it takes a considerable amount of time to melt. So, and for large currents, it will melt almost instantaneously. It is something that we would have seen in our homes as well. Sometimes it may so happen that even in the absence of a fault, a fuse gets blown. The reason for that is oftentimes a fuse is subjected to a persistent overload. Overload is not a fault, so I can say that this is a large overload here. The time of melting can be quite large. It can be in hours or it can be in days, but it will melt. On the other hand, if there is a fault in the system, there is a short circuit, the fuse will melt in a couple of seconds, if not less. Is that clear? So let us now look at the short circuit interruption characteristic of a fuse. Uh, um, uh, this is the normal current that flows. As you can see, as long as the RMS value of this current, RMS value is peak divided by root 2, is to the left of this point. You can think of this as the threshold value of operation of the fuse. Nothing happens. The current will flow as if the fuse is not there. Okay? On the other hand, if you look at a situation like this, you have a system like this. There is a supply. Okay? There is a cable or something here, and you have terminated in a fuse, and I am subjecting it to a short circuit. The current that will flow will obviously have a much greater RMS value. Obviously, in practice, the current will not behave like this. It also has a transient component. This is a very simplified analysis. But anyway, let's assume that the transient component is excluded and we just look at the 50 hertz component. The 50 hertz component will try to flow along this dotted line. Okay? Uh, but as we can see for ourselves, the fuse is behaves in such a manner that it will not allow the current to reach its theoretical maximum value. What do I mean by that? So for example, if you look at this circuit, let's take a simplified case. Okay, this is, say, for the sake of simplicity, let's assume this is a 100-volt AC supply. Okay, and for the sake of simplicity, let's assume this cable is modeled by a resistance equal to 1 ohm. Obviously, resistance won't be 1 ohm, it is much smaller than 1 ohm, but anyway, and it's terminated in a fuse, and at the end of it there is a short circuit. Okay, what is the current that is circulating here? The current is obviously voltage divided by, this is an AC by the way, this is voltage divided by resistance, so this will be 100 ampere. This will be the RMS value of current. Okay, the corresponding peak value should be 100 ampere into root 2, that is 1.414. That will be around 141 ampere. Okay, so in the presence of this fuse, we would expect, rather in the absence of this fuse, we would expect the current to reach a peak value of 141 ampere. But as you can see, the fuse will not allow that. The reason is very simple. The moment you exceed, this was, say, the normal value of the current. So let's assume this is the threshold value. Okay, this is the threshold value here. Uh, at this time, the threshold value of the fuse is breached, and we reach a zone of the fuse which corresponds to the operation of the fuse. The fuse will start melting, and at this time, okay, uh, the fuse
Sir,
will basically, sorry.
sir, some students are waiting. Please allow them.
Hi, Kodai. Okay, so at this instant, as you can see, for a current value, it is substantially, someone else is trying to enter at a current value which is substantially greater than this threshold value here. The fuse will basically commence, or in fact terminate its fusion, and the moment it terminates, it will convert into an open circuit. Initially it was behaving like a short circuit. The moment it becomes an open circuit, the current will collapse, as you can see for yourself. Hence, the term that we use is prospective. We do not use the whenever there is a fuse present in a system. This is a very, very important characteristic of fuse, which, by the way, is not something that you obtain with a relay. Okay? Uh, uh, when you perform the calculation for the faults, which you probably have done in power system second, and you calculate the value of short circuit MV and all that, the actual value of that current will flow in the system. Okay? Uh, But if you have a system which is protected by a fuse, even before the peak value of the current is seen, in most cases the fuse would have melted. So this is purely a notional thing. It is something that you calculate. It is something that is used for a selection of fuse and all that. But the fuse itself will not allow the current to reach such a large value. Is that clear? So the word that we use here is prospective current. This is the fault current that would have flown in the absence of the fuse. But as you can see, the fuse would terminate the current flow even before the peak value of that current is seen. Is that clear? So anyway, this is the characteristic. Actually, this is the characteristic which is of importance. As you can see, there is a minimum value of current that is required for the fuse operation. Beyond that current level, as current level increases, the time of operation decreases. Okay? And beyond some time, the time of operation remains more or less constant. As you can see, this curve is more or less parallel to the x-axis after some time. So okay, so let us go back to our overcurrent protection part. What are the limitations of a fuse? Again, there are a number of limitations of a fuse. First of all, what is the time required for the tripping of the system? If I go back to this, uh, um, it's become rather cluttered. So maybe I can draw a diagram. कोई है? So let's look at this. This is y-axis, this is x-axis. This is the prospective current. ठीक है, and let's draw the actual fault current. Actual fault current is something like this. ठीक है, and beyond that, in fact, it will collapse to zero after some point. ठीक है. So this is the time of operation of the fuse. Now, what does it depend on? It basically depends on a number of factors. The problem in a practical device is here we have assumed that the current is a pure sine wave. But in practice, as we have seen in many lectures, the fault current also has a pronounced transient component. To add to the complexity, the transient component is different in different phases. Because remember, the transient component depends upon the initial phase of the supply voltage. Even for the same system, if you take a system which is a balanced three-phase network, the different phases are separated by 120 degrees. So the initial phase is also going to be different in different phases. Is that clear? So the time of operation of the fuse is something which is very difficult for us to control. It is more or less uncontrollable because it depends on the level of transient component. It also depends upon many other factors. For example, ambient temperature. Okay? It will depend upon why will it depend on ambient temperature? It's very easy. If you have a fuse which is operating at say 25 degrees Celsius, and the same fuse, it is say the ambient temperature is say 0 degrees Celsius, melting this is difficult, melting this is easier. Okay? Because the starting temperature is closer to the melting point. So depending upon the ambient temperature, the time of the heat requirement will be different, and hence the time of operation will be different. So this is a very major problem with fuses, that the time of operation is something that is more or less uncontrollable. The reason that is one of the most important reasons, other than the fact that fuse you have to throw away and basically replace every time it blows, uh, that fuses are not typically used for protection of systems more than 11 kV. They are sometimes used for backup protection, but they are not used for primary protection. Backup protection means in case the relay fails to operate for a variety of reasons. Maybe the current transformer is maloperating. Perhaps the relay batteries are not operating. There can be 1,001 things, especially nowadays, now that we have digital relays. So if you have seen any computer, one thing that every computer requires is a UPS. Now, there can be 1,001 things can go wrong with the UPS. The UPS battery may go down, the UPS fuse itself may blow or something. So it is typically used for providing backup protection for systems more than 11 kV. But it's not used for primary protection. Primary protection is almost always provided by relays. Okay? So yeah, if it melts, it has to be replaced. So you physically have to go there, you have to look at the line, and you have to replace the fuse. Now, कहने में तो आसान है, practically it's very difficult. The reason is, look at Okay, let me draw it like this. And this is a line, and let's assume this fuse has blown. Blown ka matlab hai it has melted. Remember that it is connected to a system which is not operating at a low voltage. It is operating at 11 kV. Now 11 kV is not something कि घर में आप मतलब क्या करते हो, आप switch open करते हो and all that, उसके बाद आप fuse लगाओगे, वो नहीं चलता है. For these large voltages, it is extremely important that this terminal and this terminal are first of all isolated from each other, and what's more important is that these two terminals are earthed, so that गलती से भी अगर आपको हाथ यहाँ लग जाएगा ना, आपको shock नहीं लगेगा. Because of that, typically, if you look at practical circuit breakers in a system, they are always preceded as well as succeeded by separate equipment. But those are known as connectors और isolators. उनका काम यही होता है कि अगर आपका सर्किट ब्रेकर ट्रिप हो गया, उनको हम आइसोलेट करेंगे एंड उसको अर्थ भी कर सकते हैं. सो एनीवे वी विल नॉट गोइंग टू so many details. So in practice, working with fuses, especially for large voltage applications, is not practicable. Why are we talking about this? Because even today, initially when things started, maybe in the 1880s or 1890s, the humble fuse was extended for high voltage applications. Its use rather was extended for high voltage applications, because you had many systems which in existence 100 years back or maybe 120 years back, which relied on fuses to provide them protection. The kind of relays that were used to replace or coordinate with these fuses were also constrained in their operation. What do I mean by that? I will come to that presently. Let's look at this system here. Yeah, we had considered this in the last class, algorithm, and I had discussed this diagram as well. Let us now look at time multiplier setting. Time multiplier setting is basically what is the importance of this time multiplier setting? We shall come to that when we look at a practical example. It is required because the same relay is also expected to behave as a backup relay as well. ठीक है, जैसे मैंने आपको कहा था, nowadays we don't use fuses that much, especially for voltages more than 11 kV. So the same relay is expected to provide primary as well as backup protection. How that is done, we shall come to that. But first of all, let's look at definition. This is the time multiplier setting is defined by this equation. Okay. So it is basically the time of operation. Let me use a simpler equation. I don't know why he has used so complicated way of introducing this. Time of operation of a relay will be time multiplier setting into T max. Okay. For a given plug setting multiplier, we had looked at this PSM in the last class. What is the definition of PSM? It is the current that flows divided by the threshold value or the pickup value. Okay, this is the definition of the plug setting multiplier. For a given plug setting multiplier, we use this block to compute the time of operation. Okay, this time of operation can be varied even further by introducing another variable in my system, which is this TMS. So the time of operation is multiplied by this TMS. This TMS is an entity which typically varies between, say, 0.1 to 1. Okay. So greater is the value of TMS, slower will be the relay. Smaller is the value of TMS, greater will be the relay. How do I mean, actually nowadays we don't use this, but let me just draw a simple system. So in the olden days, the relays that we've used were electromechanical relays. I have already talked a little bit about the electromechanical systems that we use, or at least used to use. Nowadays, all relays are digital relays. But anyway, what is an electromechanical system? Electromechanical system is actually quite similar to your electrical instruments or your electrical machines. In fact, it's closer to electrical instruments as opposed to electrical machines, because the thing that you require is a finite displacement. On the other hand, a machine is a continuous source of energy conversion. Why do we require a finite displacement? Let's look at simple example. Let's look at uh, what is known as it is attracted armature type relay. Uh, I will just draw a very simplified diagram to explain the properties. More complicated diagrams are something that you can find in any textbook, which are obviously more practical. But here I am not interested in the practical structure. I'm more interested in the principle. So first of all, what is the function of a relay? We know that a relay has to, or at least an overcurrent relay. The function of an overcurrent relay already has been investigated. Let's go back here. Uh, yeah, so the relay basically has to wait uh, uh, for a current. The moment the current exceeds this reference value or threshold value, also known as pickup value, the relay should operate. What do I mean by operation? Operation का मतलब होता है it should give a trip signal to the circuit breaker. Uh, how do we do that? In practice, all these signals, whatever, are given using switches. ठीक है. So for example, take a simple example. If you have आप घर पे आप बैठे हुए हो, you have these systems present in your homes, an LED lamp or something. ठीक है. An LED lamp is always connected to a switch. अब यहाँ मैं थोड़ा out of मतलब डायमेंशन ठीक नहीं बना रहा हूँ. स्विच का काम क्या होता है? इट विल आइदर कनेक्ट और डिस्कनेक्ट द एलईडी लैम्प टू द सप्लाई. ठीक है. ये डिस्कनेक्शन और कनेक्शन का डिसीजन कौन लेता है यहाँ पर? ये आप लेते हो अगर आप रूम के अंदर बैठे हो. इफ यू आर लेट्स अज्यूम द टाइम ऑफ द let's assume the time is say 6 p.m. At that time, obviously the LED is something that you would like to turn on, and therefore you will try to switch on the switch, or switch on the lamp rather. uh, on the other hand, if it's say noon time, typically unless and until things are overcast, you don't require the services of this LED lamp, and therefore you will keep the switch in the off state. Okay. So in practice, whenever you want to operate something, you have to use some kind of a switch. Okay. So the same thing happens here as well, but instead of an LED lamp, we use a switch to control the state of a circuit breaker. There are two possible states: either circuit breaker is off or the circuit breaker is on. The normal state is on, unlike in the case of an LED where the normal state is off. Anyway, let us look at a very simple structure. Okay. So let us see. This is a what is known as a solenoid. In practice, the solenoid is always wound over an iron core that will amplify the level of flux. But because I'm looking at a simplified case, I have basically skipped the iron core. And in the vicinity of this solenoid, I have kept a piece of soft iron or a piece of electrical steel, anything, a ferromagnetic material. Okay? It is restrained by a spring. Okay? This thing here is a spring. It is not an electrical inductor or anything. Okay? Unfortunately, the symbols of an inductor and a spring are quite similar. Okay? And here, let us, okay, let me draw it like this. This is negative, this is positive. This is like this. Okay. Like this, like this, like this. Okay. This thing here, this controls the circuit breaker. How does it control it? Basically, there is some wiring present here, which we don't need to go into details at the moment. But let's assume that this is a device which controls the circuit breaker. How does it control it? The logic is very simple. if there is a current flow, so if I write current is not equal to 0, ये कौन सी current है? I'm talking about this current here. ठीक है, circuit breaker will open. ठीक है, ये आपका लॉजिक है. Now initially, as you can see for yourself, this auxiliary circuit here has a DC battery. There is negative and positive. ठीक है, it has this controlling element, but this controlling element is connected in series with this thing here. Maybe I will use a different colored pen. ठीक है, आप इसकी तरफ देखो. Now initially look at this structure. Initially, as you can see, this is an open circuit. Is that clear? Because it's an open circuit, this current here is 0. Because this current here is 0, the circuit breaker is not perturbed. Circuit breaker is not affected. So uh, let us see what will happen if a current will flow through here. This is the current that is coming through to this relay from the CT. So this is current CT secondary. ठीक है, this is iron. Let me use a different colored system. Let me use black. ठीक है, oops. These are lines of magnetic flux which are produced by the solenoid because of the current. तो शाबाश, मुझे कोई कह सकता है what will happen in this structure? Anyone? Hello?
Iron will be attracted by the solenoid.
Okay, and then?
Circuit close हो जाएगा, current flow होगी, and circuit breaker will experience current.
Is there any limitation placed on the ICT secondary current? क्या किसी भी करंट के ऊपर ये आयरन हिलेगा?
नहीं सर, जो थ्रेशोल्ड करंट हम रखेंगे पिकअप करंट,
हाँ,
जब वो
मगर
पिकअप करंट
थ्रेशोल्ड
आएगी,
करंट यहाँ, that is the question. What decides the threshold current here?
हमारी बैटरी का वैल्यू कितना रहेगा, वो वहां से कितना सर्किट ब्रेकर उसको एक्सपीरियंस करेगा.
नहीं 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 नहीं, थिंक अबाउट दिस. ये जो बैटरी वगैरह है ना, ये तो अलग सर्किट है. ये जो थ्रेशोल्ड करंट कौन सी करंट है? मिनिमम करंट एट विच दिस आयरन स्टार्ट्स टू मूव. वही है ना डेफिनेशन यहाँ पर.
सर डिस्टेंस कितनी इसमें, या तो डिस्टेंस देखनी है सोलेनोइड और आयरन के बीच में, या तो आयरन का वेट या मास.
हाँ, yeah, that is one thing. So that's a very good answer that you have given. So remember, this iron is not, its weight is not 0. As Faizan said, it has some inertia, and therefore it will not move for any arbitrary current. So for example, if this current is say 1 picoampere, for this such a small, absurdly small value of current, the flux that is produced is very small, and therefore this iron will not move. ठीक है, इसका अपना वजन है कुछ. Add to that, remember that there is this thing here as well. This is a spring. As you can see, this spring is clamped to some structure. Clamped का मतलब है this end of the spring is immovable. ठीक है, if this iron tries to move, the spring will produce some kind of force opposing the motion of that iron. Is that clear? So the force, the electromagnetic force on the iron has to overcome, number one, the inertia of the iron. It also has to overcome the spring force as well. ठीक है, जितना आप स्प्रिंग को टाइट बंद करके रखोगे, उतना आपको ज्यादा फोर्स अप्लाई करने की जरूरत है, एंड ऑल दैट. सो moral of the story is that at least in this simple structure, the threshold value there will be, number one, a threshold value. ठीक है, I threshold or I pickup, whatever you want to call it, and that pickup value will essentially depend upon the weight of the iron as well as the stiffness of this spring. ठीक है, in practice this, it will also depend on the number of turns of the solenoid, because as we increase the number of turns for a given current, the flux will increase. ठीक है, क्योंकि जो आपके पास flux linkage होती है ना, that is equal to n times phi, where phi is flux. So greater will be the number of turns, greater is the effective value of flux linkage, and greater will be the force that is imposed on this iron. अब आप बोलोगे सर यहाँ तो नंबर ऑफ टर्न्स फिक्स्ड है. हम अक्सर क्या करते हैं, वी यूज अ वेरिएबल टर्न. जैसे आपने देखा होगा जो लैब के अंदर रियो स्टार्ट होता है, उसमें भी यही प्रिंसिपल है. या ऑटो ट्रांसफॉर्मर या समथिंग होता है उसमें भी यही है, ठीक है। ये वाला एंड तो फिक्स्ड है, बट ये जो दूसरा वाला एंड है, इट इज समथिंग वेरिएबल, इट इज समथिंग दैट इज अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ द यूजर. So as I move this end to the right hand side, the number of turns seen by this current increases, the effective value of flux increases, uh, for a given current the force decreases, and therefore the pickup level of current will decrease. Is that clear? So anyway, uh, let us go back to this system. The moment you cross the pickup level of the current, this iron will start to move. Is that clear? ठीक है. As this iron moves, this contact here is starts moving as well, and ultimately this end and this end are connected. This is also made up of some conducting material, copper or anything, and therefore a current is established in this auxiliary network, and that current in turn instructs the circuit breaker to open. Is that clear? ये हमारे पुराने जमाने के रिलेज हैं, इसको हम कहते हैं attracted armature type relay. Is that clear? Is that clear or not? Now a question for you. Will this system operate for an AC current? हाँ कि ना? ये जो हमारी करंट है ना, सेकेंडरी सीटी सेकेंडरी करंट, ये तो एक्चुअली एसी करंट होती है ना, बिकॉज वी आर वर्किंग विद एसी पावर सिस्टम्स. डीसी में तो हमने देख लिया. एसी और डीसी में क्या फर्क होता है? एवरी हाफ साइकिल द करंट डायरेक्शन रिवर्सेस. या एनीवन?
सर मैग्नेटिक फील्ड रिवर्स भी होगा, एक ही डायरेक्शन में नहीं रहेगा. द आयरन विल
Okay.
ऑसिलेट.
ओके, लेट अस थिंक अबाउट दिस. होपफुली ये पिक्चर आपके चेहरे में है, क्योंकि सॉरी ये पिक्चर आपके जहन में है. आई विल गो टू द नेक्स्ट पेज. सो यहाँ पर आप देखो, लेट अस अज्यूम वी हैव समथिंग लाइक दिस. ठीक है, दिस इज आयरन. Remember, this iron is initially it is not magnetized, it's simply a piece of iron. ठीक है, it is a ferromagnetic material, it's not a hard ferromagnetic material. hard ferromagnetic material का मतलब होता है कि अगर आप मैग्नेटाइजेशन हटाओगे भी तो भी इसमें रेजिडुअल मैग्नेटिक फील्ड होता है. मैं उसकी बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. इट इज सिंपल आयरन, फेरोमैग्नेटिक, सॉफ्ट मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल. ठीक है, मैंने यहाँ पर क्या किया, आई हैव केप्ट अ पीस ऑफ a bar magnet here. This is north pole and this is south pole. ठीक है, so maybe I will use a different color. It will produce lines of magnetic flux. North pole से बाहर निकलती हैं. What will happen?
आयरन के डोमेन्स भी अलाइन हो जाएंगे इसी डायरेक्शन में.
ठीक, उसका मतलब है यहाँ साउथ आएगा, यहाँ नॉर्थ आएगा. यही हो गया ना डोमेन अलाइनमेंट. So साउथ पे होगा नॉर्थ को.
अट्रैक्ट.
So this iron will try to move towards the magnet. On the other hand, if you reverse the direction here, this is south, this is north. Remember, ये जो आयरन है, it is not a permanent magnet. It is something, इसकी मैग्नेटाइजेशन तब आती है जब इसके ऊपर कोई आप अप्लाई करते हो मैग्नेटिक फील्ड. What will happen here?
डोमेन्स रीअलाइन होंगे.
हाँ, so now we will have a north here, we will have a south here. जो आपने देखा है, अगर आपने बचपन में खेल रहे होते हो आप आयरन को, ये डिपेंड नहीं करता है आप आयरन को नॉर्थ पोल दिखाओगे कि साउथ पोल दिखाओगे अपने बार का. वो आयरन सिर्फ अट्रैक्टिव होता है आपके परमानेंट मैग्नेट को. ये नहीं होता कि आपका आयरन रिपेल होगा फ्रॉम योर परमानेंट मैग्नेट. अनदर परमानेंट मैग्नेट कैन गेट रिपेल्ड फ्रॉम योर परमानेंट मैग्नेट, बट नॉट अ सॉफ्ट फेरोमैग्नेटिक मटेरियल. So, using the same logic, after every half cycle, the direction of the flux here reverses. But what happens to direction of the force? Direction of force is always to the left. The iron is always attracted towards the solenoid. So, moral of the story is that this structure can also be used for AC applications. Is that clear? ये आपको आया समझ?
सर बट डोमेन्स इतना जल्दी रिअट्रैक्ट होंगे, मतलब रिअलाइन होंगे 50 हर्ट्ज की फ्रीक्वेंसी पे
That
हमारा.
is a good question. That is a good question. मतलब आप 50 हर्ट्ज पे इसको ऑसिलेट करा रहे हो, तो आपका सवाल यही होता है ना कि आपके पास इनफैक्ट जो डिले होता है आपके डोमेन अलाइनमेंट को, उसको एक टेक्निकल वर्ड है. व्हाट इज इट कॉल्ड?
सैचुरेशन होती है इसमें, हिस्टेरिसिस.
हिस्टेरिसिस. हिस्टेरिसिस और क्या हुआ? हिस्टेरिसिस होता क्या है? मतलब जो आपकी डोमेन्स है ना,
सर
वो
रेसिड्यू
ट्रैक नहीं
मैग्नेटिक
कर
फील्ड
पा रही
रहता है
है.
उसके अंदर.
हाँ हाँ, उसका मतलब है मोमेंटरली ये रिपेल भी होगा, बट अल्टीमेटली व्हाट विल हैपन, इट विल गेट अट्रैक्टेड. कहने का मतलब है, यहाँ आप देखो, ये जो है ना नॉर्थ पोल एंड साउथ पोल, ये यहाँ पर ऐसे शिफ्ट होता है, यहाँ पर ऐसे शिफ्ट होता है, तब आपको ये सिस्टम मिलता है. बट इट विल नॉट हैपन इंस्टेंटेनियसली, इट विल टेक सम टाइम. during that time interval, no doubt that your device is repelled for a moment, for an instant. But चूंकि हम यहाँ किन की बात कर रहे हैं, we are not talking of materials. यहाँ बना लेता हूँ यार, ये हमारे आधे मटेरियल होते हैं, उपसी 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 उपसी, ठीक है। ये है हमारा, इसको हम क्या कहते हैं, दिस इज अ सॉफ्ट मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल, सॉरी दिस इज हार्ड मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल, जिसको हम फेरोमैग्नेट भी कहते हैं, सॉरी परमानेंट मैग्नेट कहते हैं। हम इस मटेरियल की बात कर रहे हैं। इसमें अगर आप देखोगे ना, एट दिस टाइम अप्लाइड फील्ड राइजिंग है, तो यहाँ पर पॉजिटिव है, फिर ये फॉल हो रहा है, तब पॉजिटिव, लेकिन डिले के बाद हो रहा है। एट दिस टाइम even though applied field is negative, net field is still positive, but as you can see it remains so for a small duration compared to the size of the excursion of the applied magnetic field. तो अगर आपके पास ये होता, जिसको हम हार्ड मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल, जिसको हम परमानेंट मैग्नेट भी कहते हैं, वहां तो नो डाउट वहां पर आप प्रॉब्लम में हो जाते हैं। परमानेंट मैग्नेटिक मटेरियल क्या है, वो अगर ये साउथ नॉर्थ है, वो हमेशा साउथ नॉर्थ ही रहेगा, इट विल नॉट फ्लिप ओवर टू नॉर्थ एंड साउथ। सो दैट इज करेक्ट. For 50 hertz operation, we would expect that this iron is momentarily also repelled, but generally speaking, for 50 hertz operation, it's not a very large effect. On the other hand, अगर आप बहुत ही रैपिडली इसको ऑसिलेट करोगे, फॉर एग्जांपल आपने 1 किलो हर्ट्ज पे करंट प्रोड्यूस की, देन ऑब्वियसली यू विल सी मोस्टली रिपल्शन। इज दैट क्लियर? ये आपको आया समझ? अगर आपने 1 किलो हर्ट्ज पे करंट को ऑसिलेट करना स्टार्ट किया, द डोमेन्स डोंट हैव सफिशिएंट टाइम टू रीअलाइन, एंड देयरफॉर माय एनालिसिस विल फेल। वहां पर आपको रिपल्शन, अट्रैक्शन विल बैलेंस ईच अदर आउट, एंड यू विल सी दैट द आयरन विल ओनली ऑसिलेट, it will not move. But for low frequencies of the kind that we are used to, 50 hertz frequencies, it is hysteresis है वहां पर, but it's not very large. Does that answer your question, Faizan?
Yes sir, thank you.
ठीक है। सो बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन आपने पूछा, उससे बहुत ज्यादा वक्त हमको हो गया खर्च, क्योंकि ये हमको पढ़ना नहीं होते डिटेल में। खैर कोई बात नहीं, ठीक है। सो मैं क्यों आपको ये समझाने की कोशिश कर रहा था, मैं आपको यहाँ समझाने की कोशिश कर रहा था पीएमएस और टीएमएस पुराने जमाने में कैसे सेट करते थे, मतलब टाइम मल्टीप्लाइंग सेटिंग और ये जो प्लग सेटिंग मल्टीप्लायर है। व्हाट इज द डेफिनेशन ऑफ प्लग सेटिंग मल्टीप्लायर? इट इज द करंट दैट इज फ्लोइंग, दिस करंट, ठीक है, ICT डिवाइडेड बाय, इसको हम कहते हैं, देयर आर लार्ज नंबर ऑफ टर्म्स फॉर इट, इट इज नोन एज pickup current, it's also known as a reference current. In the special context of an overcurrent relay, the term that is used is plug setting, because remember ये वाला जो मैंने आपका स्ट्रक्चर दिखाया था ना, ये इसको ये प्लग होता है। ये इंशाल्लाह जब आप यहाँ पर आओगे लैब में आपको मैं दिखा दूंगा ये रिले। ये एक प्लग है जो आप यहाँ भी डाल सकते हो, यहाँ भी डाल सकते हो, यहाँ भी डाल सकते हो। डिपेंडिंग ऑन द लोकेशन ऑफ द प्लग, you will have different number of ampere turns acting on this iron, and you will have a different value of the pickup current. इसलिए इसको हम plug setting भी कहते हैं। Is that clear? So this is the definition of PSM. As you can see, for an operation of a relay, this current has to be greater than plug setting. In other words, for actual operation of a relay, for a pickup of a relay, the plug setting multiplier should be greater than 1. The moment it's less than 1, the relay will not operate. ठीक है, उसका मतलब नहीं कि फोर्स नहीं आयरन के ऊपर, बट इट्स इनसफिशिएंट टू कॉज द आयरन टू मूव। ठीक है। अनदर थिंग हियर इज, जैसे आपने बोला भी था कि जो यहाँ पर है ना, मतलब एक्चुअली फोर्स नहीं, बट बिकॉज दिस सेपरेशन फ्रॉम दिस पॉइंट टू दिस पॉइंट इज नॉट वेरी लार्ज। ये नहीं है कि किलोमीटरों का फर्क है, इट इज द सेपरेशन ऑफ अ फ्यू सेंटीमीटर्स। सो द फोर्स, द फ्लक्स दैट इज प्रोड्यूस्ड हियर will not be very much different from the flux that is produced here. Remember, ये solenoid है, अगर आपको थोड़ा बेसिक फिजिक्स याद होगा, solenoid की विसिनिटी में जो फ्लक्स होता है that is more or less constant. ठीक है। It's only when you go away at a very large distance compared to the dimension of the solenoid that the flux starts to fall off. ठीक है। So anyway, here the force that is applied on the iron does not depend that much on the separation of the iron from this solenoid. But what about the time required by the iron to move? For example, ये मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ, कुछ सगो ये आपका solenoid है, ठीक है। केस नंबर 1, आपने स्टार्ट किया, आयरन को बहुत नजदीक रखा। केस नंबर 2, everything else is the same, number of turns of the solenoid, क्या कहते हैं, current that is flowing in the solenoid, whatever, everything is constant. But you have basically performed two different experiments. In the first case, the iron was very close to the solenoid, In the second case, the iron is quite far away from the, far away ka matlab hai relatively far away from the solenoid. In both cases, because a solenoid has a property that the flux is more or less constant in its vicinity, the force that is applied on the iron is more or less the same. But what about the time required by this iron to move from the initial point to the final point? कहाँ ज़्यादा है? Let's call this case A and this is case B. Time
जहाँ
of
distance
operation.
ज्यादा होगी.
Where?
B.
Yeah, because the distance required by the by this iron to move is greater in the case of in case B, and therefore the time of operation of the relay, ठीक है, is greater in the case of in case B. आपको आया समझ यहाँ क्या मैंने किया? टाइम ऑफ ऑपरेशन, करंट वरंट सब ठीक है, फोर्स सेम है, खाली आपने क्या किया, यू हैव आर्टिफिशियली increase the distance between the iron piece and the solenoid, and therefore for the same current, for same everything, the time of operation of the relay is greater in case B compared to case A. It is let's assume that the time of operation here is this corresponds to maximum separation, case B. This let's assume corresponds to minimum separation. ठीक है? The time of operation here is, let's assume Tm. The time of operation here will be in general time of operation, let me write here, is time of operation is less than Tm. ठीक है? Where m for maximum. So this ratio, time of operation divided by Tm, this is known as time multiplier setting. ठीक है? So जैसे मैंने आपको बोला, this time multiplier setting typically ranges from 0.1 to 1. इसका typical range of variation है. Obviously there are some exceptions, but it will not go above 1 because by definition time of operation can't go beyond maximum time. ठीक है? But theoretically speaking, what is the value of the minimum time? Well, it basically depends on the construction. Here I am assuming that the minimum time is 10% of the maximum time, corresponding to a time multiplier setting of 0.1. Is that clear? अब बोलोगे सर ये क्यों है इतने हाई फाई नेम? अब आप लैब में जब आप आओगे, you have the ability to modify this time multiplier setting. You have many options. You can keep this as 0.1. You can keep it at 0.2. You can even have a setting like 0.25 or something. Depending upon the choice of TMS that you make, for the same current, for same everything, for same pickup value, you can increase or decrease the value of the time of operation of the relay. ये आपको आया समझ? Why is that required? We shall come to that inshallah today itself. But this is another way in which the characteristics of a relay can be modified depending upon your preference. Is that clear? Okay. So कुछ go. Okay. होपफुली आपको क्लियर हो गया. बट नाउ डेज दिस, ये तो गया जमाना, ये क्या है इसका नाम, ये जो ये इलेक्ट्रोमैकेनिकल रिलेज है, या जो मैंने तो आपको यहाँ दिखाया मूविंग आर्मेचर टाइप रिले. देयर इज अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट रिले नोन एज एन इंडक्शन टाइप इंस्ट्रूमेंट, induction type relay. It is exactly the same as the induction type ammeter or induction type wattmeter that you probably have studied in electrical measurements. So I will maybe leave that as an assignment. You have exactly the same characteristics, but nowadays we don't use these electromechanical devices. Nowadays the relays are purely numerical, they are purely digital. But because all our power system, all the characteristics of the power system, the control as well as protective philosophy of the power system for the last 100 years revolved around these electromechanical relays, because in order to have backwards compatibility, even the numerical relays that we use nowadays, we are forced to oftentimes replicate the characteristics of these old electromechanical relays. So for example, to give a simple example, look at your Windows. Now one common complaint with Windows operating system is that it's very unstable. ये आए दिन crash होता रहता है. One important reason for its instability is that it has to be backwards compatible. जो आपके पास इस वक्त Windows 10 है in your laptop or in your desktop or whatever, it has to be completely compatible with software that were written for say Windows XP or even Windows 2000. ठीक है? So हालांकि ये उसका मतलब ये है कि ये विंडोज बेचारों की गलती नहीं है. They are trying to ensure that you have the maximum of backwards compatibility with old and obsolete software. In the same way, now that we have built a power system, and its operation, design, everything revolves around these, or at least used to revolve around these old electromechanical type relays and their limitations and their characteristics. Even if you replace an electromechanical relay with a numerical or a digital relay, you can't have any random characteristic of any replacement must be compatible with the existing system, जैसे हम देखेंगे. So हालांकि ये जमाना तो गया जब आपके पास ये तारें थी और whatever थी, लेकिन आज भी हम उनकी characteristics को replicate करते हैं, as we will see in a moment. Okay, so this is basically a simple way of what is known as this is basically, this displays the क्या कहते हैं इसको, the use of a time multiplier setting. Is that clear? So please look here. This characteristic is of relay 3. This characteristic is of relay 2. This characteristic is of relay 1. We have what is known as a singly fed radial system. ठीक है, हमारे पास यहाँ पर supply है. We have multiple line sections. This line section, let's call it anything. Let's call this A, B, C, D. Line section DC is protected by this relay R3. Line section CA is protected by relay R2, and finally line section R1 is protected by relay R1. Sorry, line section BA is protected by relay R1. Now, if there is a fault in this line section, let's assume that the plug setting, the pickup level of all the relays is the same. ठीक है, is the same का मतलब ये है कि सारे के सारे रिले सेम करंट पे ऑपरेट करने की कोशिश करेंगे. I want to basically explain to you the importance of the time multiplier setting and why is it important in practical power systems. So यहाँ पर आपका fault आ गया. This relay will try to pick up, this relay will try to pick up, this relay will try to pick up. हमें ideally speaking कौन सा relay operate होना चाहिए? Anyone?
Closest to A.
Why?
Because fault वहीं पे है, नजदीक सबसे ज्यादा करंट वहीं पे होगा.
If you remember जब हम पढ़ रहे थे ना desirable characteristics of a relaying scheme, उसमें एक हमारे पास होता है minimum disruption. You should have basically what happens whenever a relay operates, a circuit breaker, its corresponding circuit breaker opens, and a part of the power system is taken out of operation. This portion of the power system should the size of that portion should be minimized. So what will happen? So for example, I have not shown it here, but in practice, obviously, ये हम ये section क्यों काट रहे हैं? हमें कोई शौक नहीं है तारों को काटना. It may be the case, ये आप imagine करो, ये आपके पास है वो 11 kV feeder, ठीक है, या 33 kV feeder, whatever, जो आपके मोहल्लों को सप्लाई कर रहा है. So this is one क्या नाम है इसका junction point, and let's assume this goes to your colony, and this goes to your neighboring colony, and this goes to some other colony. ठीक है, the fault is exists either at this junction point or in the intervening this distribution line AB. So if there is a fault here, this circuit breaker will trip, and only the load here is disconnected. Let's assume there is a load. This corresponds to some colony that is being supplied from this junction point A. So if the circuit breaker trips, this will become an open circuit. If this is an open circuit, no current can flow, and no current can flow means this load is knocked out. Is that clear? तो आपको मतलब load power supply आपकी disconnect हो जाएगी. On the other hand, if instead this relay will operate R2, this load will get disconnected, this load will get disconnected, this load will get disconnected, because remember the system is radial. खाली एक side से आपको power supply आ सकती है. And obviously the operation of relay 3 is the worst of the lot, because if it operates, only this load is supplied, all other loads are disconnected. How do we prevent that? Let us look at this system. PSM, as we have seen, is basically a proxy for current. PSM हमने define किया current divided by plug setting multiplier. So anyway, it is basically current here on the x-axis, and on the y-axis I have displayed the time of operation. So let's assume that this fault current corresponded to a current along here. What will happen? देखो आप look at the point of intersection of this line with these curves. ये जो हमारे पास relay 1 है, I've kept the TMS here to be the smallest. It is 0.5. ठीक है? TMS here is 1. This is a bit erroneous. This can't be greater than 1. But anyway, let's assume this is 1. this is say 0.8, and let's assume this is 0.5. जितना आपके पास टीएमएस कम है फिजिकली, आपको मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दी थी अभी, पुराना जमाना था, हम आयरन पीस को नजदीक या दूर रखते थे इनिशियली. TMS here is 0.5 means it is kept very close to the solenoid. TMS is 0.8 means it's kept fairly away from the solenoid, and TMS is equal to 1.0 rather. It implies that it's kept far away from the solenoid. Is that clear? So what will happen if there is a fault here? This relay 1 will trip ahead of relay 2 and relay 3. आप यहाँ देखो, look at the, let's compare relay 1 and relay 2. Relay 1 takes around maybe 6 or 7 cycles to operate. ठीक है, एक cycle हो गया 20 milliseconds, 1/50. And relay 2 for the same current level takes around कितना 14 cycles to operate. The corresponding figure for relay 3 is in the vicinity of 30 cycles. Is that clear? So even though the current sensitivity measured in terms of plug setting of all the relays is identical, the time sensitivity of the relays measured in terms of time multiplier setting is separate. Consequently, we are able to have a acceptable performance of this radial protective scheme. ठीक है, हम क्या चाहते हैं, ये फॉल्ट यहाँ पर आ जाए, R1 पहले ट्रिप हो, उसके बाद R2 and R3 की बारी आएगी. Now the question is, why should we keep the plug setting the same? Why should we keep rather the plug setting value equal in this case? This is not a practical system. In practice, we vary the plug setting, but because it's a toy example, when we keep the plug setting same throughout the system, this fault will also cause this relay to start to operate. And likewise, relay 3 is also sensitive to this fault, even though this fault occurs in the line section AB. And the responsibility of protecting line section AB lies on this relay R1. The answer is very simple. It may so happen that this relay fails to operate. जैसे मैंने आपको डायग्राम दिखाई थी, जो इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक टाइप रिले था, अब तो खैर टाइम चेंज हो गया है, उसमें हमारे पास कोई बैटरी है, कभी कभी बैटरी डिस्चार्ज हो जाती है, कभी कभी जो आयरन होता है ना उसका स्प्रिंग फंस जाता है. इज दैट क्लियर? कभी कभी जो आपका सोलेनॉइड है उसको कोई चूहा काट देता है, समथिंग लाइक दैट. सो यू कैन हैव 1001 थिंग्स कैन गो रॉन्ग. Consequently, there is always a small probability, but not zero, that your relay protective scheme will fail to operate. In such an eventuality, in such a contingency, these two relays, R2 and R3, are providing backup protection to this system. If R1 fails to operate, it should have operated in around 6 cycles. R2 will operate and it will operate in around 14 cycles. 14 में से आप 6 निकालो, उसका मतलब है 8 साइकिल डिले के बाद ये ऑपरेट हो जाएगा. ठीक है, अब जाहिर सी बात है, कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ खोना भी होता है. Fault was in line section AB. Instead of operation of R1, we have seen the operation of R2, and hence line section CB is also isolated, and hence this load is also knocked out of the system. So एक मोहल्ले के बजाय 2 मोहल्ले को पावर चला गया. Is that clear? So this is the kind of trade-off that you have to do. If you introduce some kind of redundancy, if you introduce some kind of backup protection in your system, if that backup protection operates, a disproportionately large fraction of your power system is disconnected. Is that clear? Compared to normal operation. ये point आया आपको समझ? Okay, so we have 3 minutes. Let me just look at okay, instantaneous relay. ठीक है? Okay, this is not used typically. Instantaneous relay is something which does not have any TMS setting. TMS setting का मतलब होता है इसमें टाइम ऑफ ऑपरेशन फिक्स्ड है, इसमें आप खाली चेंज कर सकते हो पिकअप वैल्यू. जैसे मैंने आपको कहा, पिकअप वैल्यू हम टिपिकली चेंज करते हैं बाय वेरिंग द क्या कहते हैं इसको, द नंबर ऑफ टर्न्स ऑन द सोलेनॉइड. नाउअडेज वी डोंट हैव एनी सोलेनॉइड, सो आई एम स्टिल स्टक विद द ओल्ड टर्मिनोलॉजी. आजकल हमको कैसे चेंज करना है, आप कंप्यूटर प्रोग्रामिंग में चेंज कर दो वैल्यू. पुराना था आपका आई रेफरेंस 1 एम्पियर, तब बनाम सुजा एम्पियर, आपको कौन रुका रहा है? वेरिएबल का नाम ही तो चेंज, मतलब वैल्यू तो चेंज करना है. बट this did not have a TMS setting. We have seen that when you have a system in which you have multiple line sections or multiple components which are protected by different relays, and you also want to incorporate backup properties in your protective system, we must have something known as a TMS. This is absolutely essential. So a corollary of that is, if you have a relay which has no time setting, it can't be used for backup protection. ये जो हमारे पास ये इंस्टेंटेनियस रिले होता है ना, ये कहाँ पर हम यूज करते हैं? ये टिपिकली हम यूज करते हैं, हम आगे देखेंगे, या तो ये वाला जो रिले है इट कैन बी इंस्टेंटेनियस बिकॉज इट डज नॉट हैव टू प्रोवाइड बैकअप टू एनीथिंग एल्स, इसके आगे कोई और लाइन सेक्शन नहीं है। और इट इज यूज फॉर सम नीश एप्लीकेशंस, मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल कोई स्टैंड अलोन कोई सिस्टम है, से वी हैव अ मोटर दैट इज बीइंग प्रोटेक्टेड बाय दिस रिले ऑब्वियसली थ्रू अ सर्किट ब्रेकर, इसके दाएं बाएं कोई और मोटर नहीं है, कोई इसको नीश एप्लीकेशन कहते हैं, वहां पर हमें यूज करते हैं। द सेकंड वन इज टाइम डिलेड डेफिनेट टाइम रिले, ठीक है, यू कैन सिंपली कॉल इट डेफिनेट टाइम रिले। This is a very important relay. It is oftentimes simply written as DTR, definite time relay. ठीक है? It has both a plug setting multiplier. It also possesses a time setting. Is that clear? So it has two settings. Instantaneous relay has only one setting. Definite time relay has two settings. Instantaneous relay में आप खाली pickup value change कर सकते हो. इसमें pickup value and independently time for operation भी आप change कर सकते हो. Is that clear? So we have to study this as well, overcurrent protection using definite time relay, but I guess I'm out of time. So I will do that inshallah in the next class. If you have any question, please ask. Hello? कोई question है?
No, sir.